Hello, and welcome to The Difference, a show created just for realtors, entrepreneurs, and business owners who want to advance in the game of economics and professionalism by making personal and professional growth and development a part of their daily agenda. Today, we're going to be talking about processes, routines, and regimens. And I'm joined today by two gentlemen, Dane Wilson and Brian Dobbs. We are missing Kelly Houston today. She actually showed up and had an emergency right when she got here. So we're going to be praying for her and her friend. Absolutely. And but I want to start off. I'm going to introduce co-host today, Dane Wilson with Lender's Choice Credit Solution. Dane, tell us a little bit about Lender's Choice, and talk to me about how you got started with that.
Well, Lender's Choice Credit Solutions is credit repair. We help lenders and realtors help more of their clients get approved. We do a lot of other things as well with our realtor loan officer partners. The way we got started is because you were in credit repair for a long time, and I learned a little bit from you, and it was just something that I became really passionate about, and then kind of took it from there.
Okay. With credit repair, where do you feel like you make the biggest difference with your clients and with your partners? Partners are a big part of what you do, right? Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about the type of client that you feel like you can make a big difference in their life, and then talk a little bit about the type of partner that you look for to partner with, and how you feel like you can make an impact in their business.
So really anybody who wants to learn more and about credit, more credit education, I think that's definitely where we differentiate ourselves. Just from talking to clients that call in that have been with other companies, that's the first thing they always compliment us on is like, wow, none of this stuff was covered with the other company. They didn't go into this much detail. I didn't really feel like I understood what was going on or have a game plan for myself. Regardless of what we're doing for them, we also tell them what they can be doing themselves. So I think just the amount of time that we spend with each and every client, the communication, the ongoing education, the hand holding to make sure that everything that needs to be getting done is getting done.
Okay.
So I think that would definitely differentiate ourselves on top of, our pricing and different things like that make us really unique and special compared to the rest of the, companies in the industry. As far as referral partners go, my ideal referral partner is your question?
Yeah, your ideal referral partner, but then also, part of what we're doing here is the difference is how we partner together, how we come together to not only make a difference in our community and in the business world, but how as a partner, because having strong partnerships is very, very important in longevity. I've watched that. So what value do you bring to the partners that you have that want to partner with you and use you as a resource?
So the first thing that we do when we sit down with a referral partner that we work with is, number one, we get the processes straight between us and the credit repair side. So communication, what does that look like? Are we texting updates? Are we emailing updates? Are we calling every day to give updates? We kind of customize our program to fit what that specific person wants, because everybody prefers something different, whether they log into our portal online to track their clients or whether they want me to call them and give them an update on everyone. So we perfect the actual within the credit repair side and what that looks like first, just so we're on the same page. Mm-hmm. And then from there, it's what else can we do? Credit repair is definitely a big part. The number one goal is you send me a client, I get that client back to you ready to go as soon as possible. We also try to get them referrals from that client. Mm-hmm. We have programs put in place to incentivize the clients. If they refer people that are looking to buy a house, those people go to that referral partner as well. So it's what can we do on top of just helping your clients with credit repair. So we sponsor tons of home buying seminars, lunch and learns, happy hours, things like that. Basically what I tell, if you were a referral partner, I would say, what are your two main goals when you have a client? Number one, help them, and number two, make money, right?
Right.
Those are the two main things. So credit repair, you can really do that in a lot of ways as well. Number one, you're helping them by putting them in credit repair, but there's money being generated with the credit repair services. So what can we do with that money to help grow your business so we can continue? Whether that be advertising, whether that be seminars, whatever that looks like. And so with each individual referral partner that we work with, we try to come up with our own customized plan on how can we use what we're doing here to grow even further.
Awesome. And then obviously realistic expectations, right? I mean, that's the biggest part. So our guest today, special guest, is Brian Dobbs, Brian C. Dobbs, speaker and author, right?
Yes.
So I have Brian's book here. I don't know if you guys
Are you
can
an author or an Arthur?
I'm an author.
Author. Okay, go ahead.
I said that right.
No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, well, I asked for it, didn't I? I did. Okay, so let me retract. Uniquely Called is a book that Brian wrote, and it's a very good story. I'm not finished
thanks.
with it yet, but I am right in the middle of it, and it's revealing and transparent. Tell us a little bit about what inspired you to write this book, and what your intention is. What would you like to see come from that?
Well, I think number one, when when you come to a realization in your life that you actually have a purpose, you have a purpose in life, because it just seems meaningless if you don't have a purpose.
Right.
So I sought for that. I searched and I asked a lot of questions. I did a lot of crazy things trying to get there. So understanding that I had a purpose, I was made on purpose for a purpose. And that really inspired me to write the book, because I had to tell my story. I had to tell my life journey and the things that I did, the things that I failed at, the things that I was successful at, and how that all was in the making of where I am today and what I'm doing today, and fulfilling my purpose. And then the second half of the book is, when you look at a road, and I'll keep this really brief, but if you go to a destination your first time, you may take all crazy turns to get there. But once you have mastered getting there, then when you take someone else, it doesn't necessarily look like the same road. You're still going through the same processes, but you took them an easier route.
Right.
Instead of a left and crazy turns, and the dog
The bridge
beneath
out.
the bridge is out, the dog's at the tree on the right side of the road, and the dog's gone, and it's just a mess getting there.
Mm-hmm.
Now you take people through a trusted, tested, proven path to say, hey, listen, you were created. You're created on purpose for a purpose. So I wrote the book, loved it, and it was a great experience for me. And I know that some of the people that I have talked to that have read it, we're getting some great feedback.
Awesome. And this book is on, if you go to our website, you can order this book. We just added a new feature to the website. We're going to be putting up books quite often. Uniquely Called is on there. I think it's actually the second one listed. So if you want to go to the website, it's #the_Thedifference, and you can find that book along with some others. So today, first of all, let's toast, as we always do. We couldn't do this without Sue being mad at us. This is to making the difference, because as you just said, with a purpose, if we are called to our purpose and we follow our purpose, we should make a difference, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's start the topic today: processes, routines, and regimens. And I want to start this a little bit. I want to read a few things that I found. Number one, what is a process? A series of events which produce a desired result. Agree or disagree? Okay, routine is a course of action to be followed regularly. It's a standard procedure. And then a regimen is a plan or regulated course of action not to be deviated from. When you hear the word regimen, what do you guys think? Just when.
I'm gonna defer to
Defer.
Dane.
All right, you're on the spot, Dane.
When I think of a regiment,
Regiment.
well, I mean, to me, it's similar to a process. It's just a specific, detailed plan
Okay.
of what you're going to be doing.
So for me, every time I hear the word, I think military.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're regimented. They eat at the same time every day. They do the certain things at a certain time in a certain way every day. I know you've heard this story. I'll give you one. I don't think you've heard it. Many years ago, I decided to go skydiving. At a crazy time in my life, one of them. And it was neat because you go through this 6-hour training to learn, because I didn't do the tandem where you're attached. I did the accelerated free fall where I'm by myself. There's two people that go out with me, but I'm in charge and responsible for getting the chute open and all the things that go along with that. And so through a 6-hour class, I was anticipating learning a lot of things. I learned 3 things. And you repeated those things over and over and over for 6 hours. It was brutal, boring. But I realized that the reason that they did that is because once you jump out of that airplane, there is a opportunity for panic to set in.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are thinking through what you're supposed to do and you're following the instructions, you're not distracted. And I think that processes, routines, and regimens keep us from being distracted, which is a productivity and business killer. And one of the things that I thought about this morning as I was going over the show, I'm like, why do so many people get distracted? And I think that we've talked about this, but it goes back to the entrepreneurial versus employee mindset. And I want you to kill this idea if you think you should, or tell me why you think I'm right. As an entrepreneur, if I'm right, tell me I'm right. If I'm wrong, don't tell me. No, tell me I'm wrong. As an employee-minded person, as an employee, we are okay with distractions at work. Why? Because we don't lose money if we're distracted. If I'm distracted around the water cooler, I'm still getting paid my hourly wage.
Mm-hmm.
There is no repercussion or no setback for distractions when you are an employee in an employee mindset. Over time, there could be, but for that particular moment. And so I think that in getting into business as an entrepreneur, and you're solely responsible for your income, I think a lot of us still have that, man, I don't want to do this. I want to avoid this. Oh my God, there's a distraction. Let's chase a rabbit. And I can put this off till later. What do you guys think about that?
I think definitely a valid point there. When I look at corporate and I look at entrepreneur, or, you're self-employed entrepreneur, you do not have the insulation that you do in corporate. So in corporate America, if you are in charge of marketing, that's all you do. You're not worried about accounting. You're not worried about customer service. Any of the ancillary business prongs that we have as an entrepreneur and self-employed. So I can see where the water cooler or the kitchen or, taking a 15-minute, I need to surf on the internet or troll on Facebook and stalks people, craziness that happens where you become more inefficient and ineffective. I see that, but I do believe that corporate does have that insulation there that keeps people, hopefully it keeps people on track. Doesn't always. So it's that grueling 6 hours, 3 things that they need to do over and over and over. They might just get bored.
Right. So what are some processes and routines that you guys do within your business and in your profession? Talk to me about that.
So for me, I was in the corporate world before I started doing this, and I had a good experience. I think that there's definitely the employee-minded that, hang out at the water cooler and stuff like that, but some places you can't do that. You got a manager who's breathing down your neck, and you're expected to hit certain numbers, or you don't have a seat the next day. And so I learned really good habits from that, and I learned about tracking my numbers, and I learned about using my time wisely, because just that healthy fear of not having a job the next day. And so I've carried that over into the, being an entrepreneur now, where there's nobody telling me what to do or keeping an eye on me. I've already seen from experience that my numbers are important. The amount of income producing activity in the day that I have is important. And so now my specific process is I use the 9 to 5, 9 to 6, the business hour time of day to do income producing activities only. And I try to use every single minute of that 8-9 hours of income producing activity only. Any other job responsibilities that I have, I do before 8 a.m. or after 6 p.m. And so when I get to the office in the morning, I make my list of everything that I'm going to do from 9 to 6 in order of importance, and then that way from 9 to 6 it's just action. And I even try to have a plan for if there's downtime. Sometimes you have a call scheduled for a certain time, person doesn't answer the phone, so you got 30 minutes. You know, get on Facebook, or if you have a plan, a specific plan for what you can do at that time, then you go do that, and just make sure you're as productive as you can be in those hours.
How would you say that having those processes, and and I can attest to this, we office in the same office, and there's times I walk into his office and I've got something I think is really important to say, and I don't even get a response. He never even looks my way. He's on his computer, and it's just like, I just turn around and walk out. I'm like, all right, it's not a time, because I do respect the process. I understand he's in the middle of something, and it's very important. But how does your processes keep you on track? I think that everybody, whether you're an employee or whether you're an entrepreneur, there are things that knock us off track sometimes. Day doesn't go the way we plan it. It's something that we really anticipated that was going to be good, falls through. How do we stay focused? And for instance, it's similar to a call that doesn't happen, right? Okay, you're ready to call someone, they don't respond, so I'm kind of off track. How do you not waste those? How does your process get you back to where you're not wasting that time?
For me, it helps to be really competitive, and so I have daily goals of the amount of calls I want to make, talk time. I look at that stuff every night, and so I'll email my employees late at night and compliment them on if they were on the phone all day long, or if they weren't, they know I'm looking at that stuff. But for me, myself, I care about that, so I look at my talk time, my calls. It makes me feel good when I know I made a lot of calls, and so I try to do as many as I can. Certain amount of sales I want to get in a day, obviously, money I want to bring in. So if I have any extra time, if I have 30 minutes where I'm not doing a sales call, and I can go and help the billing department collect, that's just bringing in extra money, you know. And so for me, it's just about having daily goals and just kind of being competitive, you know, to try to do the best I can every day. That's fun for me, more fun than checking Facebook.
So, Dana, I want to ask you a question on that. So, reviewing your talk time at night, and I want to talk about a path of least resistance, because that's what I've used for the routine, the regimen, the processes. That it's just a real easy way for me to remember it and get into a path of least resistance, because I'm building that. So, your talk time at night, do you also set your goals for the next day at night? So you're already, when you hit the office door, that's not a time, and hopefully I'm not putting words in your mouth, but I think I am. So let me just rephrase this. When you walk in that door in the morning, is that, hey, listen, I'm ready, sitting at my chair, rock and roll, because I already have a plan in place? Or is it take that next 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, trying to figure out what I want to accomplish today? What's your protocol on that?
Yeah, so I think there's two ways to do it. You can do it the night before. I'm just usually exhausted. I work sometimes until 12 midnight or 12 or 1. And so at that point, I'm just not as in the right place to do it. And so I've never, no matter, as long as I've been working, which is not that long, but as long as I've been working, I've never not gotten to the office unless something crazy happens at least an hour early. So I can sit down before the phones ring, before anybody's really at the office. And that's when I'm clear, I'm ready to go. And I set my daily goals at that point. I already kind of know what my daily goals are going to be anyway. But I sit down and I come up with my daily goals. I look at my emails, I structure my day, and then by the time, the bell rings to start the day, then it's just action. I don't have to think anymore.
When you have a structured process, though, there's not a lot of planning the night before.
You don't need it as much.
Right. I mean, there's going to be some new things, obviously, that I need to get this done tomorrow. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, you understand going in what your challenges are going to be the next day, and I think over time we become even more mentally prepared for that, and so it becomes more automatic.
Right. No different than carving out a path in the woods, if you think about it. You the first couple of times in carving out that path, it's arduous. It's hard, mm-hmm. and you go home sore because you had to do things that you normally don't do. But once you carve that path out, that path of least resistance, then the maintenance, there's a rock, or there's a limb down, or there's some brush in the way, whatever it is, those are easier things to get out of the path once the path is established.
Right.
But if nobody ever develops a path and they just
Taking a new way through the woods every time.
every day,
Mhm.
and I watch that, and it's comical. I can laugh about it now, but it's really not. It's you look at it and you're like, oh my goodness, bless your heart. There's a lot easier way than just trying to be creative every single day.
Well, do you guys think that a lot of people get into wanting, I think the allure to being self-employed, number one, is not having anybody tell you what to do. You are your own boss, right? And so you feel like you can do it better than where you were. A lot of times that's the reason we do it. But I think that for me, I'll speak for myself. In the beginning, I thought, I don't have to do the same thing every day. I can just do whatever. And it's the biggest fallacy of being a successful entrepreneur, because routine is what creates consistency, right? And without consistency, you don't have predictability. And when you don't have that, that's when the failures start happening. And I think that's what takes us from that can be the biggest distraction that we have, is when we're taking a different path every day and we can't figure out why it's not working. One day it worked glorious, and the next day it didn't work. Well, why?
Yeah.
Like you talked about when you first started going on that trip. Well, if my first day was all the sights and the sounds that you could possibly imagine, and the next day is where the bridge is out and I lose the dog because I went a different path.
Yeah.
And then I'm sitting here asking me, well, why was it not like yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the reason is because I didn't take the same path over and over and over.
Yeah. And that's something that you can learn from the corporate world. You know, I mean, starting off as an entrepreneur and that be your first job, that's probably really tough, because it's hard to compare yourself to others. It's hard to know if you're doing the right things. But I came from a world where it had already been set up. Like it was already tried, tested, and it worked. And so I just got plugged into that, and I got to look at a sales board every day and see who's making the most calls, their talk time, what that resulted in. We all had scripts, so it was very similar, and then you could adjust accordingly. If you're making all your calls but you're still not selling deals, it's what are you saying? You know, if you're not selling deals and you know your calls are low, obviously that's the first thing you need to fix. And so it's about just being very consistent, and so then you can figure out what the issue is and improve. If you're
Right.
all over the place every day, you can't possibly know what needs to be fixed.
And
You can't track it.
no,
and,
you can't.
And that's one of the things that I picked up again from Dane was tracking numbers and income producing activities. There's we'll talk about the skin, self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
What am I doing? You know,
Why am I doing it?
Yeah, why am I doing it? Time flies when you're having fun. I realize that. However, and Dane, you know, again, picking up that, taking some notes here, every minute of every day is accounted for.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that we need to really be more cognizant on, especially in that process, that regimen and that routine. When we get into these things, we know. You look at a professional sports team, you know, do they change up their warm up routine every different city
No.
that they go into? Do they change up I get on the bus different every single time? No, it is so militant. It's so regimented
Mm-hmm.
that they're sitting in the same seat. They go to the same locker. They sit the same way. They do this over and over and over again because that's how they improve.
You know,
Yeah.
the crazy thing about that, Brian, is when I was coaching and we'd get into the playoff season, a lot of times our games were not on Friday nights, they were on Saturdays. Our coach, and I didn't know, I thought this was the craziest thing in the beginning, but it makes sense now, and it also worked. He changed the days so that the days were the same. We would have a Monday practice on a Tuesday. We would have a Tuesday practice on a Wednesday, because he did not want the guys to mentally get out of the routine that they were used to. And it's all about peaking at the right time.
Right.
And so if you start too early or you start too late, your timing is off. And Dane, you were talking about it as well. It is that routine. One of the things that I pulled the other day is, you know, routine brings consistency, predictability, control, direction, and cultivates the right attitude. And by doing that, you develop habits of productivity, which creates a lifestyle of the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. earlier you mentioned, when you were thinking about being an entrepreneur, that one of the things that you love was the idea of not having to do the same thing every day.
Oh yeah.
And
no,
I think we all feel that way. It's definitely more fun to have a little bit more variety every day and not do the same thing. But number one, like you said, the highly successful sports athletes, Kobe Bryant, somebody that comes to my mind, they fall in love with kind of the process, and they have that routine that they do. They like it, and I think that it helps if you like it, but also I think that anytime an entrepreneur starts the conversation with, I became an entrepreneur, I want to be an entrepreneur because, and then it's like all the fun, easy stuff,
Mm-hmm.
that already like worries me, because you have to literally be willing to do the opposite for a long period of time. It's not always going to be the fun stuff. So, I like that I don't have a schedule, or I can sleep in, or that I have flexibility to be with my kids and this and that. That's not really what it looks like. It looks like the opposite of that.
It does look like the opposite of that. And the thing that I've always just driven me crazy is when they say that. I'm like, would you say that to a client? I do my job because I don't have to get up unless I want to. I don't have to do this unless I want to. I mean, how many clients are going to go, wow, I really like you. You do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it. And that's going to be good for me because, I may need you, but you may want to sleep in that day. That's kind of scary.
That's scary.
But that's the lure of that's a misconception of what an entrepreneur really is.
Right. So we work for two different things, and I've always stuck by this, that we work for freedom of time and financial independence. We want to have the finances to spend whenever we want to, and sometimes we get stuck because we're just making money,
Mm-hmm.
and if you can't spend it, then that's a problem. But then the freedom of time, well, if I have more time than I have money, that's equally as much of a problem, because now you really are no different than the people that don't have a job.
Right.
You just have a lot of time. Well, that's great if you have money, but if you don't have money,
You're basically in jail.
You're in jail again. So where in the past when I was working with clients, I would tell them you're working financial independence and freedom of time. The more structure you have, the more liberty you will experience. The less structure you have from a regimen, a process, or your protocol that you're trying to establish, the less structure, the less liberty you have, because you're always trying to find a new path.
Well, I think that you build in that liberty with your process. That's what that ends up creating.
Mm-hmm.
And it creates consistency in your income, which a lot of entrepreneurs, that's their struggle.
Mm-hmm.
It's feast or famine. 3 months I'm good, 5 months I'm bad.
Mm-hmm.
I took time off. Now I go back to work. I've got nothing. There's no clients. There's no pipeline. And the process allows you to do that, and it allows you to enjoy those vacations and that time off more because you do have the money to enjoy it.
Right.
One of the other thing, you talk about this, but it allows, having a good process and regimen allows us to audit our time and our efforts. Talk about that. You did.
Mm-hmm.
You hit on that,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to talk about that more because, one of the program that I had, the coaching program I had, was called Adapt. If we're not adapting to what's going on around us, what we're creating, what's happening to us, we're going to get left behind. Because especially in today's world with technology advancing the way that it is, we have to constantly be adapting, learning and adapting. And so if we cannot audit our time and our efforts effectively, we end up wasting time.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys talk to me about that.
So I read a book, Brian Tracy book. I was actually Googling it to think of the name on the way over here, and I accidentally typed in Brian Dobbs. So I was like, well, just as successful of an author. So you're on my mind as an author, not him. But anyway, so he said that the average salesperson, which is my industry, works an hour and a half a day. And I read this a long time ago, and I'm like, what? I'm at work all day long. What are these people doing? But it's not about you being at work, and that's the employee mindset of I'm here, so I should be getting paid for my time here, But I believe what he meant specifically is are you the average person produces an hour and a half a day. So if you look at average person's talk time in a day, if they're a salesperson or whatever, about an hour and a half. That's what he said the average is. And so that I thought that was weird. But you start looking and you start kind of auditing and looking at what you're doing, and you're like, I might be a little more than that, but that is about as far as how much direct time I'm putting in that will affect my paycheck. It's not what you think. So I made my decision, and the difference for me is I'm going to use every single hour that I can legally call somebody in a day to do it, and then before and after is when I'll do the things that don't make me money.
It's funny because I was taking notes earlier, and I got to listening to Brian and forgot, but I wanted to know and wanted to ask you guys the difference in being busy and being productive, because there is a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
You can be busy all day long. I can put in 18 hours a day and not earn a dime. And so being able to audit your time, again, and being honest and having the self-awareness, I think is important. But being able to audit your time and determine, am I just filling time being busy and kind of making myself feel good, or is this producing for me? What do you think, Brian?
I think that's great, and I'm going to take 2 steps back, if that's all right,
Sure.
here, because and this is I love this stuff because I put puzzles together. So I see three places here, and we really haven't talked about the pre-planning much. We've talked about getting, where you're flying, you're jumping out of the airplane. Yes, you open yourself up to distractions. You get into work you haven't planned prior, then guess what? You are just you're putting out fires. I hear this a lot. Well, I just need to check my emails and put out fires. Well, why do you have to put out fires? Help me understand that, because that fire will typically burn out, by 9:30 anyway, or you can just put gas on it at 8:00 because you're all emotional, they're emotional, and then you're dealing with that fire till 11:15, and then you have to go to lunch at 11:30 because you have to make your 12 o'clock lunch appointment, and you're going to stay out till 1:30, and you're going to come back and put out another fire, and then you have to go pick up your kids at 3. It's that vicious cycle we get into. So I look at the analysis at the end of the day, which I think is fantastic. What have we done? That so was it busy? Was it productive day? So I have to go back to address, what are we doing in the beginning? When are we planning this? How did we set up that structure? Because that was the difference for me. It wasn't the fact of getting in there and working. I love it. Very competitive, and let's tackle. Let's get things done. I love that. And then the analysis part was never a problem for me. I could analyze it to its smallest atom and molecule, and here's the detail, the minutia of it. I love that stuff. My problem was, what did I need to do in the very beginning to set up the structure, the infrastructure, the flow in order to get into that regimen? Do I have the right process? Then, do I minimize my distractions? Absolutely. Do I become income producing versus busy all day long? And then my analysis at the end of the day is, okay, great, we can build on this.
Right.
You can't build on chaos.
No, you can't.
You just can't.
No.
And I think that part of things is so important, because a lot of times if you're doing that part wrong, you don't even know. You don't know what you don't know. So you think your day is so hard, you just don't realize that if you structured your systems and your processes differently, it could be a lot easier. And that's something we went through when we started our company. Had so many more customer service calls. It's all we could handle. And we had less clients then, obviously, than we do now. But as and this is something some people are good at and some people aren't. So if you have a business partner, maybe one of you is good and the other's not. If not, you need a business coach who can tell you what you don't know. And that's kind of the route we went. And we brought somebody in who said, wait a minute, if you change what you're doing, all this becomes a lot easier. Now customer service is not an issue. We set the expectations up front, automated emails, let them know when to look for those, and so forth. And so if you can kind of see the future, then you can come up with the best route to handle it. And so I actually really like that, because I just see other people who are not there yet, and they're almost making things tough on them. They just don't know it. They think that's the only way it can be done, but it's not, and so they're frustrated and stressed, and they just don't know there's a better way.
One of the things over the years that and this started when I was as a personal trainer in fitness and I was working out. Number one is I always wrote down what my workout routine was going to be that day. I wrote down whether I completed it or whether I didn't, and then I evaluated myself, and then over a period of time I would look back at that routine and determine where my weaknesses were on my body. Okay, was it triceps? Was it shoulders? Where do I need to change? What do I need to adjust? Nutrition was the same way. And I see books all the time, The Secret to Success, The Secret to $1 Million, The Secret. And it's like I told people when I was training, there's not a secret to fitness, but there's a recipe.
Mm-hmm.
There's a process. There's a recipe.
Absolutely.
And if you follow the recipe, you're going to get the desired outcome.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is we're frustrated with our outcomes because we're not following the recipe, which is process. And Dane, to your point, whether you bring in a coach or you're just you have a mentor or you're observing. I mean, I think that the way social media is now, we have insight to what people that are doing that is the difference in how we're doing and how they're different. Well, you can watch people without being creepy stalker on social media all the time and see what they're doing. And it really jumps at you where you may be weak and where they may be strong, and making those adaptations and adjustments really can change your life and your world. I mean, it can help you go from the hobby, part-time, semi-pro, if that's what you're looking to do. Again, I'm not criticizing anybody where they are, but if they're looking to level up, that's what this show's about, is what you need to do to hit the next level, what the things are that's going to make the difference.
Right. And one of the things, and I'll interject here, so what do we need to do? One of the things, and a lot of times it's just increase our phone calls or increase our marketing, increase our exposure. And a lot of people ask the same question over and over and over. What do I need to do? Well, I already know what I need to do, Brian. I just need to make more phone calls. Well, why aren't you doing it? And that's some of the questions that we don't ask a lot. So when you were working out and you were doing your fitness, your training for fitness, one of the things that I did when I started really taking, more of a hard look at my health, and yes, I want to live a long time, and I want to take care of my wife, take care of my children, have a fantastic life. Well, my health was important to me. But how many people miss the gym because they can't find their workout clothes? Or they're too tired or whatever. So even in my book, I talk about creating that path of least resistance, and this goes into that pre-planning phase of your structure.
Mm-hmm.
Set out your workout clothes. Have your coffee maker, set that on a timer, make your coffee at night, and then when you get up at 5 o'clock, I know 5 o'clock only happens for one time a day for a lot of people. However,
there's a 5 a.m.
It works. But if your coffee maker, goes off and is finished at 5:20, which is your first beep, and then your alarm clock goes off at your 5:30, that was your snooze.
Mm-hmm.
And then you already built in a pre-snooze to your plan. You have your coffee, you have your book. I have my book and my Bible with me, and I have my workout clothes. So it's real easy because I created that open door scenario, because if you look at the path of least resistance, people will go through the open door versus actually opening the other door.
Right. I agree. I mean, the biggest slip-ups I ever had in nutrition were when I was not prepared by meal prep,
mm-hmm.
and I was hungry. Fast food.
Yeah.
I want something now. I have an excuse because I don't have anything else. It could have taken me an hour to make that happen, but it was a path of least resistance. I'm going to fast food, and I'll slap myself on the hand, and we'll start over again tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then what ends up happening, though, is if you fail to plan the next day, you're at fast food again the next day.
Correct.
So let me, I want to go real quick and thank a lot of our sponsors here. Just shut down for a little bit. Mark, I think I ran a little bit long again, didn't I? I apologize for that, but we will, we'll get back on track. Well, what I want to do now is introduce some of the folks that can really make the difference in your life, whether you're a consumer looking to hire an elite professional or a business professional looking to establish a strategic partnership that can make the difference. You don't need to look any further than the folks I'm about to introduce you to. Number one, Shannon Cagle and Payne Insurance. Everybody needs business insurance if you're in business, and Payne Insurance is one of the best. They can make the difference. I encourage you to call Shannon. Give Shannon a call. Shannon's going to be a guest on the show, I think, next week. Shannon's number is 940-230-6054. If you're looking for a property management company, if that's something that you need as far as partnership or something similar, you need to call Brian Podeska of Real Property Management Focus right here in Frisco. Give Brian a call at 469-820-0088. For all you real estate people out there, real estate realtors, industry professionals, I encourage you to go on Facebook and look up the Real Estate Triangle with Adam and Liz Terrell. They've created a platform and a community where like-minded people can go and find the type of people that they want to share their core values and that they really want to work with. This is a fast-growing community. They have over 2,000 members now, and there's a lot of good relationships being built inside there. James Kern is another person that can make a difference. James owns Delicate Moving. Delicate Moving has been around, done over 20,000 successful moves, and one of the things that he prides himself on is not nickel and diming you. You're going to get a good quote right up front, and they don't deviate from that. Josh Small with WeatherTech General Contracting. If you're looking to replace a roof, have a roof evaluated. If you're a real estate agent that is looking for someone that you can partner with, Josh is a great guy to do that. Bally Mendels with Supreme Lending. Bally's a loan officer. First-time purchases, second home purchases, refi, FHA, VA. Bally is someone that is, if you're a real estate agent and you're looking to partner with a lender, Bally can be someone, again, that makes the difference. And finally, we want to thank Sue Turk, Vice President of Sales with Boston National Title. Sue has an excellent reputation in real estate and mortgage lending industry for her professionalism and the way that she conducts ourselves. So all of the outstanding sponsors I just mentioned are committed to bringing exceptional value through their elite customer service, business-to-business relationships, and a steadfast commitment to having a positive impact on the image and culture of their respective industries. I think that's very important. I think a lot of us forget about that. So I want to thank those sponsors. They make this show go. Let's get back now. We've got about 5 minutes left. So back to processes, routines, and regimens. Before I bring up the next topic of this, do you guys have anything else to share?
I'll just share a tip that I think that I do it's kind of unique, and maybe everybody does this and they just don't talk about it that much, but I think that this is something that I do that's pretty unique. So when I'm as a business owner, I do a lot of business development stuff. I sponsor things all the time, and so each individual thing I do, I try to look at it like an investment. I'm putting this much money down. Can I make an ROI on that, right? And if I think I can or break even, a lot of times I'll do it. And then you go back and you look after it's done. You're like, okay, did that work? Did it not work? Should I not do that again? Was that a bad investment or was it a good investment? So money-wise, obviously, you can look at a lot of things you do as an investment, but also time. And so in a day, when I'm determining what I'm going to do within my processes, what's most important, is that something, if I have a long list of things to do, what am I going to do? I look at it like a time investment. What's my best ROI on my time spent? And so that, I think, is kind of a unique way of looking at your day is, everybody always talks about get from where you value your time, or, you work for extra time, not money. And so once you value your time, so I look at everything I do in my day as, what kind of ROI am I going to get on the time I'm spending on this? Is it worth it? Is it the best ROI, or is there something better I could be doing?
So one of the things I read the other day that I thought was so cool, it was a quote from this guy that I've been following, and he goes, "You've got to learn as an entrepreneur to monetize your minutes." It's not your day, not your hour, but your minutes. That's when you become more successful, because each minute, and that is the difference between an employee-minded person, is they're thinking hourly or weekly as a salary. Every minute, because we're in control of that, every minute as an entrepreneur has value, and we're either wasting it or we're producing. And when I read that, I thought, man, that is really, really cool to break everything you do down into a minute. And then you start to see how much time you're wasting every day.
Changes the lens on how you look at things.
Well, it does, because here's the thing. I could produce revenue today of $700 in 5 minutes. Pretty good day. For some people, it's not a pretty good day. But what about the other 24 hours? How much could I have produced if I would have put time into it? And I think a lot of people do that. I've been guilty of that. Oh my God, I had a great day. I'm checking out.
Yep.
And that is the time when you have the most momentum. When is the most exciting time to be an entrepreneur?
When you're making money.
When you're being successful.
Yep.
So why shut down at that point when you want to build on that momentum?
Ride the wave.
Ride the wave, absolutely.
Well, and brings up another point that you and I talked about the other day was when you look at the Hall of Fame, athletes, the elite, as you call them, those guys are staying after the game and practicing an hour.
I think one thing, and you mentioned competitiveness earlier, and I think that you have to have that as an entrepreneur because someone is working to be on a level higher than you. And it's just about a pride and a commitment, a steadfast commitment to not letting your competition outwork you. And when we talk about work, again, it's not busy, it's about being productive. And I think that's where we gain. Those are some of the things that make the difference.
Yeah. So can I deviate just a tad? So those people, and I'm definitely a family person, and I love my family time. I like my hanging out with my wife. I like hanging out talking to my children. I like talking with that. So when we're doing that, and we talk about competitiveness, especially in the workplace, now not to be misconstrued with a workaholic. But I have found in my life the difference is the better I become as a professional, the better I become in my personal life, because it's all hand in hand. It's not. This is true work-life balance.
Right.
It's not a four-way intersection that comes up to work-life balance. Take left or right, or go straight. You don't get that. You're the same. So whenever we get better professionally, we actually become more efficient, more effective, better communicators at home.
Absolutely. We have more resources. So, all right, we gotta wrap this up. I think we can talk about this for a long time. You guys were great today. I really appreciate it. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and hope we were able to bring insight into things that can make the difference in your pursuit of exceptionalism. Next week, we're going to have a brand new set of co-hosts. We're going to be talking again about things that make the difference. So I hope you tune in. Don't forget to comment on this show. I see we have a lot of people joined us today. I finally was effective in doing a watch party, so I'm proud of myself. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on YouTube. Like our Facebook page. Check out our website. And from all the folks here at KVGI and The Difference, we hope you enjoyed the show. And don't forget that you can never really make a difference until you're consistent doing the things that make the difference.